came together and when we all found out that when it was time for us to refinance or sell our home that we got from Blue Hub Capital. And I'll back up. Blue Hub Capital is a nonprofit based in Roxbury. They're located at 10 Malcolm X Boulevard, just steps up from the Nubian Square um, business area. And so they offer this program. It's called Stabilizing Urban Neighborhoods, which is the foreclosure prevention program. So if you're facing foreclosure or need to do a short sale, they will help you be able to give you a mortgage, and then you will have your home back and you'd have that community stability. You really live in a bubble when you're trying to face these financial hardships and trying to create a legacy. Okay, that's fine. We came to them, they vetted us, we signed the mortgages. Then when we come to, and the mortgages gave you a 25% buy upcharge buyback. Okay. They had a higher than national average on the interest rate. But and that's okay. So we understood and a little skeptical of that, but we had to push through. At any rate, when we sign the mortgages, it's fine. We feel like we've entered into an agreement with a nonprofit that said that they will work with us when the banks won't.
Mm-hmm.
When it's time to come and refinance or sell our homes, we realize from the new lender that we have to pay not only the remaining balance of our mortgage, but also what's called a shared appreciation mortgage. And that takes a percentage of the value of your equity that Blue Hub calculates, and you have to pay that additional amount. So if my house has grown in the last 7 years of $300,000, Blue Hub says we're going to take 50% of that. So I pay my first balance off to them, and now I have to pay them an additional $150,000 to refinance into another lower rate mortgage. Half
Wow.
of the banks won't take on that extra burden, so you're basically trapped. And we spoke out about it. We said this is not what we entered into. You know, they weren't upfront about this. They weren't upfront about the percentages or what that would look like. Um, Goes against a lot of truth in lending regulations, and so we pushed back and we said, what is going on here? And then they in turn said that we were ungrateful and you signed this and here you go. Well, of course, that mortgage was buried in the closing documents anyway. So we came together and we said, well, if this is happening to us, who else is this happening to? And then we found all of these people who have shared appreciation rates that are astronomical. And I know Annie's going to go in a little deeper about some of the trends that we found. But we basically came together and we organized, we fought back to the point where we have filed back in, we did a lot of organizing, a lot of grassroots calling, connecting, emailing with people. And we formed this organization initially called the Hand Up Crew because we felt like we wanted a hand up, we didn't want to hand out, and now we feel like we're handcuffed. So we said no to Blue Hub Capital. No, this is a predatory lender, and you are a wolf in sheep's clothing, and we are going to stand up to this financial bully. And they are quite a bully. And so what we have done now is we have organized, we filed a class action lawsuit against them in 2020 in Suffolk Superior Court. We know that there are homeowners who are victims of Blue Hub Capital. This class action lawsuit covers homeowners who refinanced and paid that shared appreciation and paid out because they felt like they had no recourse. We're also representing homeowners who cannot refinance and get into a better mortgage and feel trapped. You know, we're also talking about putting in and shutting them down. because they should not be operating this long. And the people who are responsible and in place to do the enforcement of consumer protections, whether it's the Attorney General, the CFPB, the Division of Banks, they're all looking the other way. So we know we have a formidable challenge ahead of us because it's Massachusetts and we are not in that avenue of deep political or financial connections. So what we have is our truth, and we have our truth, and we have our integrity, and we're making waves, and we're going to make progress because we want to make people aware that what they're doing is a predatory lending mortgage product. You don't have to suffer in silence. You can come join our organization. You can advocate for yourself. There are actually good people in the State House, in other agencies. That's how we found you, that are willing to listen and support and gain this network and say, we don't want this because of Blue Hub, our community is changing, and it's not really changing, making our community diverse. It's actually changing and displacing homeowners,
Gentrification.
particularly people of color. So we've got to stand up to them. And I'll pass it off to Derek so that he can share his story, his personal experience.
Thank you, Nadella. Really appreciate this
Sure.
information because there's a scripture in the Bible said, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." And if we don't know something, how we don't know what we don't know. So you all coming on today is really good. Hopefully and prayerfully is gonna, shake some trees and get some more people out onto this. Derek, good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine. Good morning, and thank you for allowing me to share my story. My wife and I, we live in Hyde Park. About 12 years ago, we were facing foreclosure. A friend of mine gave me a flyer that said, if you have income, we can help you if you're in foreclosure. We went down. They were originally called Boston Community Capital. They were located on Warren Street at that time.
Mhm.
And we went down. I spoke with the folks down there, and they helped us. They gave us, they sold, they bought that property, the mortgage from Bank of America in a short sale, sold it back to us. What I thought was a reasonable mortgage, and initially, I was singing their praises. Um, at least Cherry, who's the CEO, asked me to go on a couple of cable shows. And I went on a local cable show. I think it's based out of New Hampshire. And they flew me to New York to be on MSNBC with Chris Hayes. Her and I both were there. And we talked about their product, their program. And at that time, I thought, they saved our future. About 5 years of on-time payments. My credit improved. I was in a better situation. I called Aura Mortgage, who was their mortgage provider. That's who they used, and asked if I could refinance for a lower interest rate. That's all I wanted to do, because the interest rate was, 6 point, point something. So it was
Mhm.
high then.
Yeah.
Uh, and they said, no, we don't do that. You have to find someone else. That kind of surprised me. A few years later, I got a card in the mail um, from our group, we weren't called the National Coalition Against Predatory Lending then, but we got a card in the mail, and they talked about Blue Hub Capital being a predatory lender. I called Nardella on the card, and she explained to me what was going on. And then she
Mhm.
said something that made my jaw drop. You got a second mortgage on your property. I said, no, I don't. Yes, you do. Check your closing documents. I went in, and it's a big, thick document. And nobody reads that when you're signing
Mhm.
you're all happy, and you just sign. And
Yeah.
I looked, and there it was. My wife and I both signed for what they call the shared appreciation mortgage. We call it SAM. Um, and it said that they, in our case, were entitled that if you sell, refinance, convey your property to your kids, or do anything, you got to pay them 50% of your equity.
Mm, mm,
So
mm.
I couldn't believe it. Eventually, I called back. I spoke to Ron McCormick, and I said, because the interest rates were dropping. Years ago they dropped below 3%. I said, I said I want to refinance, and then he told me, no, well, that's a good time to do it, but you got to do this SAM. So I just got very active with the National Coalition Against Predatory Lending. We protested Community Capital, which is Boston Community Capital, which is now Blue Hub. They moved their location from Warren Street to Malcolm X Boulevard, changed their name. Wonder why? But we were out there protesting. We were part of the class action lawsuit, but then they got creative and they got some politician to file a couple of bills that would essentially give them protection against being sued for these predatory lending. So we got involved. We've been down to the State House. We've protested. We've spoken to the Judiciary Committee, and we're fighting it. We don't want those bills to pass. So far, they've been stalled in the committee. I hope it dies in the committee.
Do you have those bill numbers, Derek?
I do. One bill is S1104, and the second bill is H1404.
Okay, so the S1104 is the Senate and the 1404 is the House, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So these are the two bills that the predatory lenders are trying to push through.
They're trying to push through, and if it was successful, they will have protection. And what it would do, it would open the door for every other predatory lender to operate and to do what they're doing. I mean, they're a nonprofit, but Elise Cherry, the CEO, made $800,000 last year. Big old mansion in Brookline. I mean, these folks are getting rich off of us. They operate in a number of states. It's just not in Massachusetts. So we're fighting them. I refuse to pay that. I refuse. I'm trying to retire this year, but it's tough. And we're just going to fight them. We're going to fight them, and we're going to win. And we're asking everybody to join us. You can go on to Google and see the reviews. Hear what people like me and others have had to say. And if you're considering doing business with them, don't. Run. They're like wolves in sheep's clothing. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Miss Annie?
Yes.
Okay.
So thank you for having me on, Priscilla, and thank you, Pastor Wall, for having us on this morning out of the National Coalition for Predatory Lending. I am also a homeowner who have been victimized by Blue Hub. And back in 2012, I also got into some struggles and actually was going to lose my house. And they did come in, they bought my house from my mortgage company and then sold it back to us. And at the time they sold it back to us, they did have the markup on the property as well as offer us a very much higher interest rate than what. But then, at that point, you're struggling and you figure, hey, this is an opportunity. And so I did take the opportunity and we did sign. But at the time, we did not realize there is a lot of kind of what you call unsavory practices that were in the closing.
Unbelievable.
They didn't. One of the things is yes, because I had been through closings previously, and usually I had a lawyer to represent me. However, they really encourage us. Oh, you don't have to worry about a lawyer. We have one. And I said, okay. So you go forward because you figured that that they had your best interest at heart, but in reality, it was not.
That's one of the things. Excuse me, I don't want to cut you.
That's all right.
No, I was just gonna say that's one of the things that when I was a home buyer counselor at Maha, was the one thing that we told everybody: get your own lawyer, because you dealing with the bank's lawyer, and the bank lawyer ain't thinking about you. The bank lawyer is for the bank, and then sometimes it costs us a little extra money, a few extra $100, but it's worth it in the end, because those documents, they put those documents in front of you, and they know you're not gonna read them. They know you're not gonna read them. They know you just gonna, because you want to get what you want. but I don't sign nothing unless I read it. I don't care how many pages it is, because that's where they get you. And if you don't, if you have a lawyer, your lawyer's gonna say, "Wait a minute, let me check this out." No, you don't want to sign this. But that's how they get us. That's how they've always gotten us, you know. And so I like to know, like, what do you all? So what is you all's plan from here? How many people is part of your group? When do you all plan? Because I think with these bills, there should be some type of way that we could get information out about the bill number. Maybe we could do it like a lobby day where people go up to the state house. I know you all already been doing it, but we just need more people to do it. Correct? So,
Yes.
what is you all's next like plan of action? Like, what do you all plan on doing?
So we actually, there was a group of us that went down to the State House yesterday, and we lobbied and we met with some of the lawmakers. We're really trying to have conversations with the co-chairs, Senator uh, Jamie Eldridge, and Representative Michael Day. They're the joint chairs in the Judiciary Committee. We've also meet and have conversations with Senator Lydia Edwards, who's on the committee. Also, Representative Brandy Fluker Oakley, who's on that committee.
Mm-hmm,
And we meet with the chair of the Black and Latino Caucus,
mm-hmm,
Representative Bud Williams.
mm-hmm.
So we have engaged them. We continually engage them. We leave them our letters. We just sent them, the entire Judiciary Committee, a letter once again stating our opposition to these bills. And so right now they are in a extension, and so they can have a vote anytime between now and the end of April. So we do plan on having another lobbying day in April. And when we get that set and secure, I would give you that information. Hope you can join us, and we can have an informational session too for people.
Okay. Where do you all meet at? Do you all meet on Zoom? Do you all meet in person? Where do you all meet at?
We right now are meeting on Zoom, and we have a lot of people doing a lot of different things. So we have a group that will work with lobbying. We actually had put up a billboard in Grove Hall. That ran for a month in September. So we're going to try to do that again and then have a protest again. And we're just going to keep having ways to get the message out. But we typically meet on the weekends, and they can contact me if they're interested to join our meetings. But we usually meet on Saturdays in the evening time.
Okay. Um, Nadella, you want to give them your information, like your phone number, your email, so they can reach out to you?
So my email is Nardella, Nardella _5 at yahoo.com, or they can email NCAPL, that's NCAPL at yahoo.com. And the number is 508-499 8787. And I just put that in the chat.
Okay. All right. So,
But I think also Annie has some other like information about, how egregious they Blue Hub actually is.
go ahead,
Well,
Annie.
one of the things, Priscilla, I did see, I wanted Nadella to address the question. There is a question that says, who are the elected officials who supported the bill?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
And
sure. So it's Senator Jacob Oliveira, who supported S 1104, and the other for H 1404 is Representative Dan Cahill from Lynn.
And they support this bill.
They are yes, they are the authors of the bill.
All right. So you
And
said
so,
that you've been talking to the elected officials of color, and you have a couple of that have signed up. Have you talked to like Senator Liz Miranda? Have you talked to Rep. Russell Holmes? You said you have Brandy and Lydia.
Correct.
Have you reached out to the other ones? And all
Some of some of the homeowners who have been impacted directly by Blue Hill Capital, they have directly emailed each of them, Senator Miranda and Representative Russell Holmes. They haven't gotten, honestly, much of a response back. And I know that
really?
we have gone, yes, really, we have gone down there, and I have talked to the staffers in Liz Miranda's office and received no follow back from them.
Yeah, that's all right. So I'm just thinking here.
You
Priscilla,
know,
I did want to tell you
go ahead,
Uh,
Annie.
But I did want to tell you, Priscilla, that there is this concentration in the city of Boston where most minority families, a lot of minority families live. And looking over the database that we have, there's a large concentration of Black and Latino families that have been, pulled into this whole process of remortgaging their houses with SAMs. So, this company in some way or other has focused on the Black and Latino community and, much less stealing their homes and their legacies, which is really problematic. I mean, so I think that's one of the reasons why we've concentrated so much with the city of Boston is because of the fact that there is such a high number of families that are involved in this Blue Hub mortgage, and that are, have these high SAMs that range anywhere, from like 40, maybe low 40s to as high as 75% of
that
the
is criminal.
it's more than criminal. It is more than criminal. It's discriminatory. It's against, much less
Have you
consumer
all
protection
have you
laws.
all I'm sorry. Have you all
That's all
talked to
right.
Congresswoman Ayanna Presley? Have you all been able to reach her? Or Ed
So one of
Markey or Senator Warren, any of them?
we have sent letters to everybody that you named. We have sent letters to,
And they're not
and
responding?
they are not at they are in they have not, well, I know one of the homeowners, he actually passed away. I have a copy of the letter that he sent to Ayanna Presley. And there hasn't been any reply. So, Priscilla, to be honest with you, the CEO, Elise Cherry, has a lot of connections, political connections, that is making some of these defenders who stand on these platforms of housing security, of working for the people, of anti-gentrification, they go mute. We have sent in numerous complaints to the Attorney General, and the Attorney General, who is now our governor. And we have homeowners who call me and say, I filed a complaint, and you know what? They got back to me and they said, there's nothing that they can do, but you can sign on to this lawsuit. You know?
What do you mean there's nothing that why? Because it's a nonprofit? Why is there nothing they can do when they're clearly like we are their constituents, the governors, the attorney general, all these elected people. And the fact that they won't say anything or even reply to you all, that doesn't make any sense to me. I'm gonna reach out to the attorney general's office because I don't understand. This is right in their will, in their rim or will or whatever the heck you call it. But this is
It's
this is what they're supposed to do. They're the consumer. They're our lawyers. They're the consumer's lawyers, the attorney general's office.
So the Attorney General was very successful in filing, I think, that lawsuit against Envy Realty, where NV Realty said to a homeowner, if you need $10,000 cash, I'm going to give you that 10,000, just sign this document. And then unbeknownst to that homeowner, while they got the cash, now they entered into a contract where only they could sell their home through NV Realty. It's been in the news.
Oh my
You
God.
know, that bait and switch is pretty much the same definition as what has happened to the homeowners at Blue Hub Capital. But the Attorney General went after MV Realty, hasn't touched our case. So we are so glad that we were able to empower ourselves. And so when I say to you, the power is in the people, because that's who we're relying on. We're relying on our truth. We're relying on the activism and the power that we have inside to speak up and to be persistent. So when they had the judiciary hearing back in May, we had about 30 homeowners fill that hearing room, and we all testified and we told our stories, and so we know how personal this is. Nobody wants to lose their home, and nobody would ever think that they would lose their homes at the hands of a nonprofit, and it's unheard of. So that's why we're speaking up, and we're going to be persistent. We're not going away. This is why Blue Hub is trying to pass through these bills, so that they can basically say now, if these bills pass, we're going to continue our predatory lending, and there's absolutely no recourse you will have. This is what happens when a novel idea is pushed through and there's no guardrails in place. And then when it blows up and it's not a bad product, nobody wants to say it was on our watch. They rather have people lose their homes. It's
Do
not
you
right.
all have your own attorneys? Like, do you all have like pro bono attorneys? Have you all reached out to the Office of Civil Rights?
So we have not. We do have the National Consumer Law Center, and Greater Boston Legal Services is aware of our fight. They actually put out a joint letter in opposition to the bill, because what the bill is trying to do is not only subvert the homeowners from having our day in court, they're trying to rewrite like long-standing Massachusetts consumer protection laws. They're trying to roll back 93A. They're trying to roll back 183C. They're trying to roll back 140D. So what they can do is have a modern day sharecropping mortgage scheme out in the open.
Unbelievable. Could you tell me what those numbers mean? With the numbers you just said to me?
Yep, so those are the Massachusetts general laws, and they're pretty much the staples for frameworks for consumer protections and the enforcements. So it's 93A,
90.
um, yep,
Go ahead.
140D,
Hmm.
and 183C.
Wow. Okay.
And as far as
Would
the
violating,
lawsuit, we filed that back in 2020. It's in Suffolk Superior Court. It's under Oates et al. Versus Blue Hub Capital. And I'll put that in the chat as well.
Oats, what?
Oates et al. Versus Blue Hub Capital.
Wow. This is just
And so we're waiting for summary judgment. We're waiting to go in front of a judge and have our case tried and heard, so that the class can be certified,
how
and we
long do
can
you
make
think that's
arguments.
gonna take?
We don't know. We don't have any control over the scheduling in the courts,
There
unfortunately.
needs to, but then I mean, this to me doesn't seem like it's getting enough attention. To me, it seems like it is kind of like being trying to be pushed under the rug. I am very disappointed in Russell Holmes and Liz Miranda for them not responding to you guys. I don't understand it, and I'm going to call both of them up on it and ask them why aren't they responding. And I'm also going to put a call into the Attorney General because come on now. I mean, this is a clear case of predatory lending, redlining, white supremacists, whatever you want to call it, but it's a sin. It's a sin. It's a sin. That's what it is. And the fact that, so when you went before the elected of color, what was their response?
We had a wonderful, maybe Annie, you can speak to this because we met face to face with Representative Williams.
That's Bud Williams.
Yes, yes.
He's the head, right? He's the head
He is
now.
the yes, he is the
And
chair
what
of
did
that.
he say?
He was outraged. He was outraged. And he's trying to speak with his members, and he was very well receptive, and he kept encouraging us to also speak to all the other representatives who sit on that Judiciary Committee. So we were and we actually met with his he wasn't in yesterday. We met with his staff person, really wonderful gentleman. So they have given us their ear, and it's very sincere. So we feel like we do have some allies. They're few and far between, but what is hopeful for us is that we are persistent and we keep going down there, because as you always say, the power is in the people. So
No,
we
we the
go down
people,
to
we have the power.
with people, we have the power. And we go down there and we talk about it and we give it to them. We give it to
Mhm.
them. We let them know that this is on their watch, and we're gonna let people know that this is personal. A lot of it's not creating any wealth equity for people of color, in particular, and we just keep raising the awareness. And so they get the point and they get the message and they stand up for us as they are duty bound to do.
So I'm gonna I have a couple of friends in media, and I think one of them would really love this story. So I'm gonna reach out to them and see if they will cover this story, because it needs to be talked about for real, for real. And what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, I will reach out and I will, Nadella, I have all three of you all's phone numbers, names, and emails. And if you all don't mind, I mean, I would like to support you all and help you as much as I can. But I have two businesses that I run, and I'm getting ready to start working on somebody's campaign. But I definitely will try to see what I can do and with the people that I know, because this is a sin and a shame, and this stuff continues to happen. And what bothers me, especially with our folks, is that they run for office, they say they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and they don't do nothing of what they say they're going to do. And so that type of stuff bothers me. With something like this, there should be rallying going on every day. People should be up at the State House every day. I know people have to work, but there's a lot of people that don't work. And so we need to be able to organize all these events and stuff. You all need to have these leaflets, with the information. I think I still have some of your Blue Hub stuff from the back in June. But the thing is, we gotta make noise. We gotta let the city, the state, no, come on. And everybody, people have different things that they fight and they advocate for. But if you don't have housing, you don't have anything. So I'm just like, I'm just baffled, because we went through redlining. We know we get higher rates than other people. It just is insane that this stuff continues to happen. And one of the things is because I feel like we don't have the right folks in office supporting us. That's the problem. Our representation, the folks that are out there supposed to be representing us, are not doing it. And so why should we reelect them? Come on.
Mhm. I think
This is
we actually
serious.
had a great conversation with the people that we talked to, and we asked them, like, why are you interested in politics? Why are you sitting in the position that you're sitting in? You know? because it
Mm-hmm.
has to come from a base. If you're not coming from a place of being a true public servant or integrity, then that now we see you. Thank you very much.
Yes, yes.
You
That's
know, but if you're supposed to be here and you're supposed to be a public servant, and you said, your lived experience is what brought you in to be an elected official, you serve the people. Blue Hub in this situation thinks they're better than Ford Motor Company, because Ford can put out a vehicle, and if that vehicle doesn't work right and people are driving in it and it's unsafe, what do? They issue a recall. They don't want people driving and losing their lives. But Blue Hub thinks that they're better than that. They got a bad product out there. They know who it's targeting. They know how hurtful it is and the impact. And they're saying, you know what? You signed it. It's
I wish
okay.
I could get one of them on. I wish I could get them one of them on my show. What's this woman's name? That's the head of it, the CEO that's making $800,000. What's her name?
Least check.
That's Elise Cherry. Yep. It's
Elise.
probably close to 1 million now.
Could you spell? You have her information that you could
Sure. Yep. I can send that
email it
to
to
you.
me. Don't put it in the chat. I'm not because
No
I ain't gonna do
problem.
nothing with the chat. But but email it to me. I'm gonna call her.
Sure.
I'm
Okay.
gonna call her.
Please do. We would love to have we've always wanted to have a sit down with her and to talk about this. She vetted us. She vetted us. So it feels like, you brought us in the door one way, because no one would have thought that. Now, this is not a bank. This is a nonprofit, so no one would have thought that a nonprofit based in the community, right in the heart of Roxbury, would be doing this. And then for her to turn around and say that, we're ungrateful. Are you kidding me?
How many families do you think are affected in just in Boston?
It's hard to say. I would definitely say it in the hundreds. I would say in the hundreds. And I know that I have had people who have called me. I have reached out to them. They said, you know what? I was a victim of Blue Hub, but they traumatized me so much that I need to keep my physical and mental health intact, because they don't want to relive that trauma of dealing with Blue Hub. So these are who we're out here representing as well.
About how many people are in your group that you meet with on Saturdays?
It varies, the numbers, because we actually are not only based in Massachusetts. We have homeowners from Maryland, from Illinois, from Rhode Island.
Damn.
We reach out to people in New Jersey, so we open up the space for people to come in and understand that uh, we're stronger together. Isn't that right, Derek? We're stronger together.
That's
Absolutely.
true. That's true. I just like it's just like I don't know.
I would love for you to come on and talk with the homeowners. We'd love to invite you on. Absolutely. I know your plate is full, but the invitation is open. We'll make
What
it work
time?
for
What
you.
time on Saturday is your meeting?
We are flexible for you, but our standing time is 6:30 in the evening.
6:30. Um, because see, this is my problem. I always, I'm always trying to help a bunch of folks, and I always have a lot on my plate. But this is serious. I know what it's like to be homeless. I was homeless for 10 months. I lived in a homeless shelter. I also had one of my property foreclosed on. So I've been through this. But the fact that some of our elected officials are not responding. Have you went to any of the city elected officials? So any of your city?
So yes, we actually were on, like, 2 years ago. We were sponsored by Ricardo Arroyo, and we met before members of the housing committee, and we testified there about Blue Hub Capital, and we weren't able to get back on there, but we have We also had meetings with then Andrea Campbell. We've had meetings in person when Michelle Wu was campaigning for mayor. You know, they know about Blue Hill Capital. They know. If they say they don't know, it's because they're probably very new. But people who have been around, they know who Blue Hill Capital is.
Wow, unbelievable. Unbelievable. All right, so how long is your meeting? 2 hours?
About that, yes. Well,
Right.
I mean, it starts an hour. We don't know. We always try to do something that comes out with an action. So
Mhm.
definitely at least a good hour.
All right. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to come on this Saturday for at least a half an hour. I do have a something that I do have to do that evening, but I'm gonna try to come on for at least a half an hour because I'm telling you, this doesn't make any sense. And there's a lot of folks out here. There's a lot of like agencies and stuff that should be able to help you all and work with you all. And I don't understand why that's not happening. People, it's just like people just don't understand. I mean, the things that's going on, people that haven't that we know about the migrants and the immigrants, they're coming in, and then we're being pushed out another way. I just feel like this is something that really needs like the attention of the governor, of the mayor, and our elected officials that are in Washington, D.C. I know you all are doing some good stuff, but people losing their homes every day because of predatory lending. There's no law against predatory lending. There's no law against that.
There's laws against it. The thing is, this particular organization has violated a gambit of laws that happen. But these are laws, really fragmented laws. As she said, that, they were violated, Chapter 93, Chapter 140. They violated the consumer protection laws. They violated, civil rights laws. But if this legislation goes past, these legislators will have on their back this whole idea that they have allowed us to turn back to slavery once again.
Mm,
Because most of these families are minority families. They have, when you go in and you don't speak English, they give you this 500-page document that, who nobody's there to translate for them. You as a minority family or a Black family go in there and they give you this 500-page document and they go through it and they give you that moment. You either have to sign or we're taking this offer away.
unbelievable.
It's very emotional. And so I can understand when Nutella talks about this whole trauma that each of these people have much less shared in.
Yeah, we gotta change that for real, for real. I think that I'm I, I can't promise anything, but I'm gonna see what I can do to help y'all some kind of way. Through my newspaper contacts. I think this is something definitely um that needs to be talked about in the media. In fact, I would like to do some more research on Blue Hub and find out because I think an op-ed needs to be done. A couple of op-eds need to be done. We need to put something in the Banner, the Globe, the Herald, Dorchester Reporter. This is a sin and a shame what's going on. And it just seems like it's nobody's really paying any attention.
There was an op-ed done by Rachel Bratt. She's a Tufts emeritus who does a lot of research on housing programs and sustainability programs. And she wrote specifically about Blue Hub Capital and the fact that it was really disconcerting that, they weren't living up to their mission statement. And they were actually doing the exact opposite. And you're supposed to be, stabilizing urban communities. And the people who are suffering, who are losing, I mean, hundreds of thousands of dollars How can you survive and how can you build wealth equity if Blue Hub Capital is going to take 75% of your equity? You don't
That's
have a
just as
chance of
bad as
leaving a
deed
legacy.
restrictions. That's just as
Exactly.
bad as deed restrictions.
Exactly. So there was an op-ed. It was very poignant. And you know what? They're not coming to the table. So it kind of goes to show you, in my opinion, that this program, it was never about helping homeowners. It was only about a way for them to
Make
profit
money.
and to make money and satisfy their investors. It's a modern day sharecropping scheme. It's never been about the people. So when we tell people to run the other way, we're speaking our truth. We're speaking our truth.
This is so disheartening. This is just, because people work hard. People work hard to purchase homes and, to build equity and to try to have something. And these are people that have been here, born here, you know. But there's also people that come here from other places and they work just as hard to get what they have. And for a company like a Blue Hub to come in and literally just make it so difficult, just literally steal from people. That's basically what it is. You're stealing. And then they
And,
they they don't.
Priscilla,
Would you say
Priscilla, I did want to
something?
say, yeah, Priscilla, part of the thing is they don't, you know, they may steal at the end of your mortgage or even when you try to sell it, but they try to steal even while. So, if you struggle to have it, to get it fixed, or you struggle to pay that mortgage, they don't offer any kind of alternative in terms of refinancing with people. And so what they do, and if people get in some serious trouble, like I know that they foreclosed on my home. Okay. And I had to fight them back in terms of the foreclosure that they did.
Did you get your house back?
I have it right now, but they're still playing games. And that's the problem. I still am being subjected to the games of much less Blue Hub Capital.
Yeah, something gotta be done about them for real, for real. Yeah, this is like, I don't know. It just makes you want to scream, it really does. Because it's just so much stuff that we as Black people face every day, just trying to survive in this racist town of Boston. It's ridiculous. And the fact that, okay, so answer me this question. When you all met with Andrea Campbell when she was the city council, what was her response to this? Or did you all meet with her while she was running for attorney general?
No, we met with her when she was the city council, and her
Mm-hmm.
response was really, oh, well, I'm going to do something about that. Nothing, never followed through. Never. There was no follow through, no nothing. Well, let me back up. We did get on, much less the city council agenda, housing committee agenda, but nothing else. And she's very aware of us because she personally met with us. She knows my story. She knows other people's stories.
All right, I'm gonna have to make some phone calls. Because I just feel like this is just it's
it's
crazy.
it's critical right now, and so what's you know raising awareness, and thank you for this platform. I mean, we can't thank you enough.
No, I'm gonna have
um
y'all back on it some more because this needs to be kept talking about. And I'm gonna reach
Absolutely.
out to my friends in the media and I'm gonna see what can happen because see, this is the problem. People who we elect to do what they're supposed to do, they don't do it. They just don't do it. And so you shouldn't get a second chance. But now we're stuck with an attorney general and a governor for 3 more years that have turned a deaf ear to this. As far as I'm concerned, from what I'm being told, they've turned a deaf ear. And so we're gonna have to shake up some stuff. We're gonna have to do some more protesting. We're gonna have to do some more demonstrations. We're gonna have to call people out. For real.
I agree. I agree because, we're out here on the front lines. And when people say, oh, they're working behind the scenes, well, how are you working behind the scenes if you never heard the stories from the homeowners?
Right,
If how are you working behind the scenes? If your first point of contact is with Blue Hub Capital and then you don't come and talk to us, I don't buy it. So that's, our fight is our fight. We are persistent. We believe in our truth. We know we've got, if we weren't so sure of this, Blue Hub would not be trying to pass these bogus bills in the
right,
state legislature. They
right,
wouldn't be trying to use state lawmakers to make laws specifically designed for their benefit. And that's
right.
exactly what they're doing. So
And
we
their goal
have
is
to
to put
fight
them,
and we have to keep getting the word out.
All right.
yeah,
Well,
but
you
it's
know
also
what?
to put them above the law
That's
Right.
and
right.
not
Go,